Hello again everyone, and welcome back to the channel for what is episode 20 in season 1 here at Williams Racing on our Road to Glory series. Now, before we jump into this race weekend, guys, we'll just do what we usually always do. Jump straight over to the R&D tree.
This is probably what I'd invest in.
Look to put a few upgrades on the car if we can afford so. So we can afford that one there, and that one there. And that leaves us with 60 points left, so there's not really that much left we can do now. We are still waiting for the internal combustion engine to come, so we will be driving reduced engine capacity in this race as well. So hopefully that doesn't hamper us too much here in the Mexican Grand Prix. So before we jump into today's episode, guys, if you are a new viewer to the channel, then please do hit the subscribe button. Please do hit the notifications bell so you do not miss any further content that is coming to the channel. If you have any feedback for me, then please do leave it in the comment section below this video. All feedback is, of course, welcome. I do want to make this series as entertaining for you guys as possible, so any feedback is, of course, welcome. And if you are enjoying this Road to Glory series with Williams Racing, then please do leave this video a like. And without further ado, guys, we'll jump straight into the race weekend. So here we are, guys. We'll just have a quick look here at the weekend preview, see what the weather has in store for us here. So it will be a wet qualifying here in Mexico, which isn't promising for us at all. We do not have the best pace in the wet, but as we can see, there's a dry race, so hopefully we can make up a position or two come race day. So I will jump straight into these practice sessions here, guys, and I'll see you again for the short qualifying. So here we are, guys, just about ready to get underway here with qualifying in Mexico. Our practice time wasn't all that great. We were around 19th, 18th, so we were switching positions with Kevin Magnussen in the Haas. But now, since this is wet qualifying, I do expect us to qualify P13. But we will be on the intermediate tyres here. So we will jump straight out onto the track, guys. Try and set a decent benchmark time if we possibly can, and see if we can't move on from there.
When you're ready, let's go.
So I was very pleased with the race pace we had in the previous episode. We did manage to put up a fight with the Haas guys, which was very pleasing to see. We weren't just out the back. As we can see, we have the gearbox change on the car now. The internal combustion engine, so I think we will be starting at the back of the grid anyway, but I will try and set a time. I do not think I have the pace around here to be able to get anywhere close to the top 10, so we'll see what our first lap times look like, guys, as I spin it here in the rain with no traction control. You got to be so careful coming off the corners, getting on the power early, just make sure there's no cars behind us. So if we see that our times are not doing too well, then what I will do is I will fast forward the rest of qualifying, save the engine for the race, so we'll have a very fresh engine for the race. I don't think my times around here will be enough to get us anywhere near the top 10. So I think we will be starting from the back of the grid anyway. So I think that'll be a good call, is just to skip the rest of qualifying if our times are not too good to the cars ahead of us. Save the engine for the race, since we'll be starting probably in P20 anyway. But we'll give it our best shot, guys. We'll see what type of times we can do here in the wet first in Mexico. See if we can be competitive at all. Of course, the AI is up at 90 now, so it's a lot more difficult to produce good times against the AI when they are so consistent. But here we go, our first flying lap here in Mexico in the wet weather. Hopefully we can put in a decent lap here on our first lap. Brake nice and early into turn one there. still very difficult in these wet conditions. Early as you can on the power when you get through that chicane there. You want to be coming over to the right hand side here, as it is a left corner coming up now. Down into second. As I almost lose it again there in these wet conditions. As Vettel has the fastest lap currently with a 1:28.4. And we go very, very wide into that corner there. And invalidate the lap. So I think I will just skip the rest of qualifying, guys. And I think we'll just take the 10 place grid penalty, as I don't think we would have qualified inside the top 10 anyway. So we will save the engine for the race and try and make some moves through the race. So I'll cool this lap down now. Bring the car safely back to the pits. Make sure we don't speed into the pits here. And I will simulate through the rest of qualifying, guys. I will save the internal combustion engine for the race, since we'll have a lot fresher engine. Hopefully that will give us a bit of a faster car over the cars in and around us here at the back of the grid. So time will show. We will take up the overview here when we get back into the pits. Taking a bit of a calculated decision here, guys, as I don't think I would have had the pace to qualify anywhere up in the top 10 to push us up from the back of the grid. So I think we'll just play it this way, keep the engine as fresh as possible. So we will fast forward the rest of qualifying, guys. We'll keep an eye on who gets pole. Currently it's Max Verstappen with a 1:27.6 who has pole position here in Mexico, followed closely by Charles Leclerc. As currently Lewis Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas are down in a 6th and 8th position respectively.
With qualifying finished, it's time to remind ourselves of our top three: Verstappen, Leclerc and Alexander Albon. Well, that wraps up qualifying, but don't worry, we'll be back tomorrow as we head into the Grand Prix.
So as you can see, guys, Max Verstappen was able to hold on to pole position there. You got the two Mercedes boys down in 5th and 6th. You have the Ferrari Charles Leclerc in 2nd. So we will have a look at the back of the grid, guys, see who we'll be starting with around us tomorrow. We'll have our teammate George Russell in P13 next to us there. So it was a bit of a calculated risk. So we'll jump straight into tomorrow's race and see if it pays off for us. So hopefully we can make up a few positions in the race, having a fresher, newer engine. So let's find out.
Here we go then. It's time to race in Mexico City, a place which gave Honda their first ever victory back in 1965. American Richie Ginther won from 3rd on the grid. And what are the Honda-powered cars this year? Well, Red Bull have been going strong here in recent seasons, so can they keep that record going today? We're a long way above sea level here in Mexico today, which could pose some cooling issues for the cars as they make their way around this 2.6-mile lap. 17 corners with top speeds in excess of 220 miles per hour, and watch out for potential overtaking into turns 1 and 4. And as always, a man with plenty of racing experience joins me in the commentary box. Today it's Anthony Davidson. Tell me, Ant, you're no stranger to surviving the melee of turn 1. So how do you keep out of trouble when there's so much going on around you?
There are three main things to worry about there, Crofty: positioning, awareness and discipline. First, you have to put your car in a bit of space and make sure you have room to react to what the others are doing. Then you have to watch your mirrors and listen to the sounds around you to get a sense of where everyone is. And finally, just don't get too greedy. Just because a gap exists doesn't always mean you should go for it.
It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Young superstar Max Verstappen starts from pole position, and it's Charles Leclerc in P2. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Albon, Ricciardo, Valtteri Bottas, and Hamilton, Sainz, Vettel, Norris, and Esteban Ocon, Perez, Stroll, Kimi Räikkönen, and Gasly, Kvyat, Magnussen, Antonio Giovinazzi, and George Russell, Grosjean, and Jones. And with preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track.
So here we are, guys, just about ready to get underway here with what will be a very tough Mexican Grand Prix. We are starting from the back of the grid. We did take a calculated risk since we had a 10 grid penalty since we got the internal combustion engine changed in qualifying. We decided to try and set a lap, and then we decided against it after we invalidated the lap. So we should have a fresher engine than everyone else in and around us. As you can see from the previous graphic, Romain Grosjean is moved down to P19, George Russell up to a P18. So we'll have a quick look at the pit strategies available for us here today. We have the soft compound to the medium compound, 9 laps on each, or we have 9 laps on the soft and 9 laps on the hard. I think I will go for the first strategy here, but I'll look to pit around lap 10 or 11, try and stay out a lap or two later than the AI if I possibly can. All comes down to tyre wear. So just before we get underway with today's Grand Prix, guys, if you are a new viewer to the channel, then please do hit the subscribe button. Please do hit the notifications bell so you do not miss any further content coming to the channel. If you are enjoying this Road to Glory series with Williams Racing, then please do leave me a like on the video. If you have any feedback for me, then please do leave it in the comment section below. I do want to try and make this as entertaining and exciting for you guys as possible to watch. So if you have any feedback, things I can do better, then please do let me know in the comment section below. And I'm open for, of course, for all feedback. So without further ado, guys, let's jump straight into today's Grand Prix. So we're going to engage the clutch here, guys, up into rich. We will use some overtake off the line, 5 red lights, and it's go, go, go for the Mexican Grand Prix. Not a bad start from us here. So we managed to claim a couple of positions here down the inside, coming down to turn 1. That was a very, very good start from us there, as we are 3 wide going into this corner here. Fighting with Kvyat for 14th currently. So you'll look to go back up the inside of Kvyat coming down to turn 3 here, look to outbrake him. And we go very, very deep. But we just managed to hold on to that position. So that's us up into P14. After the start there, a very, very pleasing start for us here. Tried to avoid contact there with Gasly as we got a bit too close there coming out of that corner. So we've got Ocon and Gasly ahead of us. So we get our first corner cutting warning there as I come a little bit too quick out of the chicane. As we come into the stadium section for the first time here, we look to go up the inside of Ocon if that is possible. A bit of contact there, but that's fine. That's us up into P13 after the first lap, guys. A very, very pleasing first lap for us here in Mexico. As Ocon is only 4 tenths behind us, so we have to be wary of him maybe having an attempt down to turn 1 here. So we will run overtake all the way down to turn 1. Late on the brakes there. So Pierre Gasly is 1.4 seconds up the road here as Ocon comes back at us here. So we will look to outbrake him again as we go very, very deep into this corner to keep position. But we get a very slow entry into the next corner. So a very, very pleasing start for us here in Mexico. If you remember, we did not really participate so much in qualifying to save the internal combustion engine for the race. So hopefully that is a strategy that will pay off for us here, guys. We are currently in P13 on lap 2. So I'm very, very pleased with that. Into the stadium section for the second time here. We got that all wrong there. as Ocon will come to have a look at us here, coming out of the last corner, which you get very, very sloppy. Sorry, it was Kvyat who had a look. We held a defensive line there.
DRS is being enabled this lap. We can use
So he is only
within 1 second of the car
a
ahead.
tenth behind us now, and he's right up behind us, so we will look to stay in the slipstream and outbrake him going into turn 1 here if we possibly can. Avoid any contact. That'll give us the inside line for corner 2 here. So we just managed to fend off both Kvyat and Ocon then, as we move on to lap 3 of 18 here in Mexico. A very, very pleasing start overall here. The cars ahead of us are starting to pull away a bit now. So we need to be careful coming through the S section here so we do not get ourselves a penalty. As we currently have 1.6 seconds to Kvyat behind us. So we'll open ourselves up a nice little gap there, but the cars ahead are pulling away from us here. Now what I can tell you guys is that I have got the setup wrong for today's race. I'm running 3 7 wings, I think it is. I could have easily ran 2 6 wings around here. I don't have the rotation that I would want coming into the corners and exiting the corners. So I feel like I could have went a bit more aggressive with the car setup today, but that is something I'll learn from in future episodes. As the cars ahead now have a gap of 5 seconds, Ocon has closed the gap from 2 seconds down to 1.3 seconds, so he is gaining on us a little bit here. So hopefully we can hold on to this P13. That'll be a very good finish for us here, but still very, very early in the race here. We still have the pit strategies to come into play as well. As I go very slowly through this S section here, as I do not want to get another corner cutting penalty. I already have one very, very early in the race here. I don't want to get another one so early in the race as well. As you can see here, the car is very, very slow turning in and out of these corners here, which is costing us a lot of time, especially this corner here. The car is very, very heavy in that corner there. But luckily for us, Ocon is still out of DRS range.
The car behind us is lapping faster than us by around 1 second per lap.
And as we can hear there, Ocon is a lot faster than us by about a second a lap, so I do think he'll make an attempt either this lap or next lap. So hopefully we can hold him off if that is possible. But he is inside DRS range now, so I do expect him to make an attempt here down towards turn number 5 here. But we just managed to have the ground on him there, but I do expect him to make an attempt before we get to the stadium section, as I run very wide there and gift him the valuable seconds that he needs to gain on us even more. He's currently 0.2 of a second behind us. So I will have to look to start risking it a little bit more through this S section here to try and stay ahead of Ocon. So we lock up a little bit coming into the stadium section. Lost a little bit of time that we managed to gain on him there, as the car is very, very sloppy coming into this little section here. This is where I lose a lot of time. So we're just about to start lap 6 of 18, guys. Only another 2 or 3 laps before our pit window, as Ocon comes at us here now, coming down towards turn 1 with DRS.
Try to keep focus.
So Ocon managed to get the position back, as there's a little bit of contact there in turn 2 and 3, but we just managed to gain that position back from Ocon. We went very, very defensive there to get that position back. So I really do feel like I could have ran 2 6 wings around here. I don't think 3 7 wings is helping me at all in these corners. So that is something that I'll remember next time around here, that we can run a little bit more aggressive of a setup that we definitely need in these fast sweeping corners here. We are losing a lot of time, as Ocon will have DRS on us again now coming into the stadium section. So we've done a good job of being able to fend them off so far. This is where we lose the time, guys, in these tight corners here. Coming out of the stadium section is where we lose all our time. As Ocon just manages to get back within DRS range there. So we use a little bit of rich and the last little bit of overtake we have to try and fend off Ocon coming down towards turn 1 here. I think we might have just been able to do that this lap. So we go very aggressively into turn 1 there, into turns 2 and 3. Need to try and carry as much pace as I can through that little S section there. As this is a DRS straight, so I need to try and keep enough breathing space between myself and Ocon.
10.5 seconds.
As you can see there, the cars ahead have really opened up a decent gap now. And as you can see on the mini-map, I am kind of holding everybody else up. We shouldn't technically be here with the performance of our car, so I will fight to stay here for as long as possible, as we almost go over the curbs there and get ourselves our third and final corner cutting warning, which would have resulted in a 3-second penalty. But this is definitely the section where I lose all my time in the stadium section. These tight corners here coming out of the stadium section as well. As Ocon will now again have DRS on us coming down the start finish straight. And we are nearing our pit window, guys. So I will look to hold the outside line here of Ocon and see if I can't get him back going into turn 2. But he defends that line very, very well. We'll look to go around the outside again into turns 2 and 3, and we've just managed to make that stick. Very good battle here with Ocon. As I lock up coming into this section here, hopefully we can carry some pace with us through here. So there's some breathing space between us and Ocon when he gets to the next DRS straight here, which is just around this XS section here. To be very careful here as I run a bit wide, but luckily we don't get a penalty for that. Get the angle all wrong for the next set of corners here, but we just managed to get it back.
Be aware we expect the grip levels to start falling away soon.
So in the start finish straight, I will take up the tyre overview and see what the wear is on the tyre. But we will be going in within the next 2 laps anyway, as we were very, very wide there coming out of the stadium section. As we can see, the AI went into pit here. So we'll use a bit of rich, a bit of overtake. As we gain 1 position here, we have Daniel Ricciardo just coming out of the pits. So we will be pitting next lap, guys. Going over to the medium compounder tyre. We will not look to battle Ricciardo here, as we are coming in this lap. We just need to try and stay ahead of Ocon. Beat him round to the pits if we possibly can. That will mean that we'll come out in front of him on the new medium tyre.
5 seconds.
But I'm glad that we kind of did what we did in qualifying here and saved that internal combustion engine for the race, since it was new. I think that is what's given us the edge here, to be able to keep P12 and P13 as we come into the stadium section, which is our Achilles heel. So as long as we can hold Ocon behind us through this section, then we'll be coming out of the pits hopefully ahead of him on fresher tyres. So we'll look to go straight into the pits here now, guys, on lap 9 of 18. As we currently drop down to P15 as other cars stay out for an extra lap. So hopefully we can make that up on the out lap. We can gain a couple of positions back.
Go Exit now.
Not the
Racing
quickest
on
pit
exit.
stop there from the
Release.
boys, 2.6 seconds. We would have needed a little bit quicker there.
Pit strategy complete. See these tyres through to the end now.
But we are currently on lap 10 of 18. And Ocon is 0.6 of a second behind us on fresh tyres as well.
Fuel is
So we've got
looking
10
really
more
good.
laps to
You're
try and
managing it well.
fend off Ocon if we possibly can. So I'll use a little bit of rich and a little bit of overtake here on this DRS straight. I will look to take a defensive line, but I don't think he's close enough to make an attack. So hopefully we can get a good run through this corner here, not lose an awful lot amount of time if we possibly can, as we brake very, very late there, which will give him the seconds that he needs now to close tight up to us again, as he looks to have a go down our inside here.
Check your MFD.
So we lose a little bit of a wing there. I tried to give him some racing space, and that has effectively damaged our hopes here of any decent finish. Our wing is only yellow, so I will try to fight on, but that won't make it any easier here in the stadium section when our cornering was really, really bad from before. It's definitely going to be worse now with a damaged front wing. As you can see now, the cars ahead of us are in for their pits. So I will look to go up into Rich and use some overtake here. So that's us back up into P13, guys. But Ocon is looking to have a look at us here, down towards turn 1. So with a very damaged wing, there's not really much I can do, as I just have to jump on the brakes there to avoid any more contact with Ocon. And there must have been a little bit of contact there of Räikkönen as I was trying to get out of the way of Ocon. That was not intentional, as I get the angles all wrong for this corner here.
George is in the pits. George in the pits.
Can definitely tell that the downforce is hampering us a little bit here, coming through this fast, really, really fast S section, as I get the angles all wrong for this section here, as Kimi Räikkönen is 0.2 of a second behind us. So I feel like we will be a sitting duck here for the rest of this race, as Räikkönen dives up the inside, but couldn't get the move done. He is still up the inside, and there was contact between ourselves and Räikkönen. So we will have to box for a new front wing after damage with both
Confirmed. We'll receive you at the end of this lap.
Kimi Räikkönen and Ocon. So that is technically our race over, guys, here. We had a very, very good battle there with Esteban Ocon, but Kimi Räikkönen tried a move that there was no real space there for him, but he tried to press his way around the outside and clipped our wing. So that is our race technically over now, guys. We are back down to P20. We've had to pit for a damaged wing, and as you can see, when we come out, we'll be getting lapped by the faster cars in not so many laps time. And as you can see, I think it's a Red Bull of Verstappen or Ocon that is, Albon, that is just coming down the start-finish straight now. So we will be getting lapped anytime soon. Those cars are, of course, a lot faster than what we are. So that is a real shame. But there's 20 seconds up to Giovinazzi and Kvyat, so I can't see us making up that time with the laps remaining. So that's a very, very disappointing way to end our Grand Prix here. And to rub the salt into the wounds, we get a 3-second penalty onto our time here for a corner cut. So this hasn't been the race I would have hoped. It started very, very positively. We managed to get up to the dizzy heights of P13. But a battle with Esteban Ocon and Kimi Räikkönen has cost us wing damage in both times. On the second time we had to pit for a new wing. So the Mexican Grand Prix hasn't been kind to us this year. So hopefully next season, with a better car, we'll be able to have a better showing here in Mexico. As the cars in front are just gaining more and more time on us there, as you can see, 22.4 seconds. So unfortunately, guys, it looks like the last few laps here I'll just be racing out on my own. So I'm very, very sorry that I couldn't do any more. I tried my best, but unfortunately I should have maybe have given Räikkönen some room, so I would have avoided any wing damage. But hindsight is a lovely thing. I felt like there was no room for him to make that move down the inside of us, and he clipped our front wing as he was trying to cut into the stadium section, into that chicane there. So what I might actually end up doing now, guys, is since this race is practically shot, is I will fast forward now time to the last lap. And if I catch up to the cars before then of course I won't fast forward past that, but it looks like it'll be P20 for us, as Alexander Albon has had to retire from the race. So that'll push us nicely up one place at least to P19.
Trailing our teammate by 24.8 seconds.
So I will fast forward now to the end of the race, guys, so you don't have to sit and watch me out here on my own racing nobody, and I'll see you again at the end of the race. So as you guys rejoin me here on the last lap of the race, we haven't made any inroads on the cars ahead, but we did not manage not to get lapped. The race leader Max Verstappen has now finished the race. So it's just to navigate this S section one final time, through the stadium section one last time, and our race will be done. It looks so good at one point, guys, when we were up in P13.
A lap of fuel now. The tank is empty.
But contact with both Ocon and Kimi Räikkönen has cost us this race. On the second occasion we had to pit for a fresh front wing. As we come through this section now for the final time, as we take the checkered flag in P19. So a very disappointing way to end today's Grand Prix. It looked so positive at one point in P13, but unfortunately for us, contact with two different drivers has pushed us down to P19 after we had to pit a second time for a new front wing. As we can see, Valtteri Bottas has won the Drivers' World Championship for 2020. Doing a few donuts there in the stadium section in front of the fans.
World Drivers' Champion. It's victory in Mexico then, and what a victory it is after an incredible Grand Prix. So Anthony, what made the difference out there today?
I think that smart tyre management on track and very smooth driving definitely assisted in their victory today. That combination meant they got the absolute maximum out of their tyres at all times.
Red Bull put up an outstanding fight for the front position today, and it's great to see it paid off for them. They do so much for the sport that you can't help but be delighted by today's race win. It wasn't the best weekend for our championship leader, and their advantage at the top has been reduced. Now, let's discuss, Ant. Who would you say is a contender for driver of the day?
Often my go-to would be a driver who's managed to pull off an especially impressive feat during the race. However, in this instance, I was more impressed by Max Verstappen's solid, clean driving throughout the event.
It's another clear win for Mercedes as they managed to secure the Constructors' title. An incredible performance for the whole team. It's been an absolutely wild weekend of Formula One action. I can't wait to see what's next.
So a big congratulations is in order, of course, for Valtteri Bottas, who has won the driver standings here in 2020. Also for the constructor standings as well, Mercedes run out winners in both categories. So another disappointing race for us really there, guys. We were looking good in P13 for a while there, but of course contact with Kimi Räikkönen, and we had to pit for a second time to box for a new front wing, set us back all the way to P20, and that was technically from there our race over. But a retirement from Albon pushed us nicely up to P19. So a bit disappointing there, as I got myself two separate penalties for corner cuttings. So I definitely picked the wrong setup here. So we'll move on, guys, and see if we can add any upgrades to the car before we end today's episode. So that was the Mexican Grand Prix, guys. We went from the dizzy heights of P13 all the way down to the back of the grid again. So in the next episode, it will be the Brazilian Grand Prix at Interlagos. So hopefully we can put a better setup on the car there, and hopefully we'll be in a bit better of a position to get a good start and stay in that position, as we will just fix a couple of parts here on the car before the next episode. I think we have enough to do both of these here on the chassis side. I think we do, so I will do all three of them. So hopefully they will be on the car by the next episode, which will be the Brazilian Grand Prix. As we can see, we're still a little ways behind Haas, so a lot of upgrades need to be on the car, both before the end of the season and during next season, if we want to be as competitive as we can be and want to be. So if you have enjoyed today's episode, guys, and you are a new viewer to the channel, then please do subscribe. Please do hit the notifications bell so you don't miss any further content coming to the channel in the coming weeks. If you are enjoying this Road to Glory series here with Williams Racing, then please do leave me a like on the video to show me that you're enjoying this content. If you have any feedback for me, then please don't hesitate to leave it in the comment section below. All feedback is, of course, very, very welcomed. I always want to make this as entertaining and as realistic for you guys as possible. So any adjustments that you want to see, I will always try my best to make that happen. And that'll be it for this episode, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.